Hi everyone, I'm Andrea and this is your Career Academy Tip of the Week. So in this video, we're going to look at the questions, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? So remember, when answering the question, what are your strengths, you really want to think about what the job description says, what they're looking for in the position, and identifying your strengths that match that. When it comes to what are your weaknesses, or another way to say it is what is a challenge that you face, you want to think about something that you've learned from or how you've adapted to it. So let's get started. So let's look at the question, what are your strengths? The first thing you want to do is know the job description. Know what they're looking for and know what skills that they want. Then choose your own strengths that match to that. As you're preparing, select 5 strengths. They may only ask you for one, but you want to be ready just in case they ask you for more. Choose strengths that correlate to the job. You may be a great creative writer, but if you're applying for a warehouse worker, that doesn't completely correlate. So make sure that you're choosing strengths that show that you have the ability to do the job. And then once you have your strengths, have examples ready to share. So as you're preparing, write down your strengths and then write an example for each one. Here's a list of strengths you can look at if you need some extra assistance identifying your own strengths. So here's an example for a warehouse worker. One of my strengths is time management. I have the ability to break down my tasks and set smaller deadlines in order to reach my goals by the end of the shift. For example, while at ABC Packaging, I was given a goal of moving 15 pallets of product each shift. I figured that I needed to unload each pallet within 20 minutes in order to complete the task on time. I would set my phone's timer to 15 minutes to alert me when I was close to the 20-minute deadline. This technique worked great and I was always able to reach my shift goal. So you can see that they used a strength that matched the job and they gave a very specific example of how they used that strength within a job. So now let's look at the question, what is a weakness you have? Another way to look at this is think about what is a challenge that you have adapted to or have learned from. We all have them. And so it's important to know and be self-aware of what you have struggled with in past jobs and how you've overcome it. So in the past, there was a trend of trying to identify weaknesses that are really positive. So I'm a perfectionist, or I work too hard, or I care too much. That's not what employers are looking for these days. They want to see that you are self-aware and that you've learned and grown from a weakness. So the second point is to identify a weakness that you've learned from or are working on. So don't use weaknesses that show that you cannot do the job. For example, saying that you have a hard time getting to work on time, that you can't get along with others, that you can't learn new things. Those things are not going to show that you are someone that they want to choose to bring on and hire. You want to choose weaknesses or challenges that you've worked on and you've adapted to, and here's a list of really good ones that you can choose from. So here's an example. One weakness is that I struggle with asking for help. I try to complete the job to the best of my ability on my own, but there are times when the insights of others is helpful. To improve in this area, I have worked on reaching out to coworkers and supervisors before my project is completed to ask for feedback. In the beginning, it was hard for me to do this, but as I've been working on it, I've seen the benefits of checking in with those with different perspectives or greater experience. So this person chose asking for help as their weakness, something that they have had a really hard time doing in jobs, and then they show how they've worked on it and how they've learned to adapt. All right, everyone, I hope that was helpful. Remember, if you need any assistance, you can contact Yulia or I by texting, emailing, or calling us. And I hope you have a good weekend.